The Senate impeachment trial zeroing in on a key question today. Is it constitutional for a former president to stand trial? Here now, NBC News Legal contributor Danny Cevallos. Danny, it is so terrific to see you, my friend. It feels like it has been quite a long time. So let's talk about this. What does the Constitution say about trying a former president?
It says nothing about trying a former president, and that's what the challenge is. So the answer to the question of whether or not impeaching a former president is constitutional is, well, we just found out because they voted yes. And I'm not being glib. The challenge here is that we've all been trained to think of this as if we're in court because it is an impeachment trial. It's anything but. It's only cosmetically a trial. In reality, in a court, what happens is each side presents its argument through the adversarial system, and a judge writes a reasoned argument considering both sides and ultimately choosing one argument over the other with some logical reasoning. That's not what happens in a Senate trial. The parties present their sides, and then we just go vote on it. And there's no reasoning as to whether or not someone had a good constitutional argument or not. And that ultimately means that whether or not it's constitutional is just whether the Senate says it is. And even the history of the Senate, what happened to William Belknap or whoever 100 years ago, is only relevant as to that Senate. What is relevant or whether or not it's constitutional depends on what this particular Senate says about the issue today.
Danny, Trump's lawyers are arguing the Senate cannot proceed with the trial because of lack of due process. Listen here.
The denial of due process in this case, of course, starts with the House of Representatives. In this unprecedented snap impeachment process, the House of Representatives denied every attribute of fundamental constitutional due process that Americans correctly have come to believe is part of what makes this country so great.
So, Danny, what do you make of this lack of due process argument here?
That argument is right on almost every count. Yes, in criminal courts, in civil courts, every person is entitled to due process of law. And that just means procedural due process, that they go through a process that is that gives them an opportunity to be heard and present their side of the argument. But it may be the case that the president is the one person in the entire system that shouldn't have any due process. And the reason for that is there's no ability to put a president or in jail until you figure out whether what he's doing is dangerous. There's no ability to put a temporary restraining order on him or separate him from somebody else that he may harm. There's no way to do that. So because the immediacy, the threat of a rogue president is so immediate and so dangerous, if Joseph Biden tomorrow announced he wanted to secede Delaware from the Union, there's no way to put a pause on that until the Senate figures it out. They would just have to remove him. And that's why the impeachment process is designed to be fast, because it's the only remedy. There's no interim remedy, no way to preserve the status quo until that remedy or that disaster is averted. So that's the argument against a president, maybe the only person in the entire system who might not be entitled to due process of law.
All right, Danny Cevallos, always love seeing you, especially during impeachment. You know, it feels like old times. This is what we always like to do.
It's impeachy, isn't it? It really is.
It sure is. Thanks, Danny.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.